What's up, everybody? Perry, Eric, Carlos here, obviously. We're all here to review The Farewell, which is, I think, one of the best reviewed A24 films so far. It's got nearly a perfect score. At least I'm talking about like Rotten Tomatoes wise. It's got, I think it still has a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, this film is directed by Lulu Wang, who is an American Chinese film director. And it stars, I believe she's a pop singer, Awkwafina?
Yeah, I think so.
She's an artist, I believe, and she plays the lead character in this film. And the grandmother in this film is played by somebody named Zhao Shuzhen? Is that what it is?
Something like that.
Zhao Shuzhen?
I can check real quick.
Sorry, I am butchering the fuck out of these names, but they gave great performances, so I feel like I should try to at least like pronounce their names, because they gave really great performances in this film,
Totally.
no doubt. But yeah, so that being said, The Farewell, like I said, had pretty big critical reception going into this.
For sure.
And I've seen a lot of A24 films already this year, so they were all great. So obviously I pretty much had, you know, going into this film, knew that, at least felt like I was going to enjoy this film to some degree. But coming out of it, I gotta say, I definitely enjoyed it, and I think it's a good film. I might not think it's as great or as phenomenal as some people think it is, but I definitely think it's a good film that's got some great performances in it. And honestly, I think this film's strong point, in my opinion, is the direction, the camera work, and the dialogue.
Performances.
And the performances, yes.
Yeah.
I guess there's 4 things that are great about it, but yeah, those things definitely stood out to me. The dialogue exchanges in this I thought were really well handled, because there are some really like insightful moments that definitely like get you to compare and contrast the different like cultural differences that they have between Western society and, you know, the Chinese customs and stuff like that over in the East. And that to me was probably the most intriguing aspect of the film. I really enjoyed seeing those character exchanges and those conversations where they would have these kinds of like culture clashes. And the performances, I think those would be top 2. I like the camera work and I like the direction a lot, but I think the performances and the writing of the dialogue is what kept me engaged most of the time while watching this film. One more thing before I hand it off to somebody else. I guess one other like criticism I had with it, just right off the bat, was I just felt like maybe second act going into the third act, I felt like I wasn't really engaged as I wanted to be. And I don't really like to say that I was bored per se, but I definitely wasn't as engaged as I was in the first act, or really as much as I wanted to be. There was times where I felt my mind wandering and I was kind of going in and out of engagement, and that was a little lame. But once you get to that third act, and as the film wraps up, I think it's really emotionally effective, at least for me. What we see the main character go through and the family go through by the end of it, the way that it was shot and the way that it was handled, I thought was really effective. It didn't make me cry or anything, but I definitely felt some emotion within me when I was watching it. And yeah, I'll shut the fuck up. Anybody else want to say anything about it that I didn't cover?
Yeah, I definitely felt emotional. I mean, I felt a lot of frustration, not because I didn't like the movie, because I think it's a decent film. I don't think it's like as great as you know, like early like critical responses have been so far, but I definitely believe it's worth checking out. It's the type of film like I kind of watched once and then but I just don't really have a desire to see it again.
I can agree with that for sure.
But I felt frustrated because the whole like setup of the film is the whole moral dilemma on whether they should tell the grandmother whether she's sick with cancer or not. The family doesn't want to tell the grandmother, and Awkwafina's really frustrated because her character wants her grandmother to know. She thinks it's wrong that she doesn't know.
And again, this is where like the whole like Western moral culture clash comes into play.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, obviously we tell people when they're going to be dying of cancer because we obviously think that is the morally right thing to do, because if somebody has a short period of time to live, they should be able to choose whatever they should want to do with that time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons why we see it that way. But this film shows you in Chinese culture, they don't see it that way, and they have the option to really tell their loved ones whether or not they have cancer or not. And yeah, one thing that Perry said that I definitely agree with is the fact that this is a good film for sure, but for me, I agree in the sense that this isn't, I can't really see myself rewatching this film. I can maybe do it just because I want to show somebody and say, hey, have you seen it? If you haven't, maybe we should watch it. But even then, like, there's a lot of other films I probably would rather watch with somebody than watch this one. And
Yeah.
you know, and again, I think just for me, it's because it doesn't have that wow factor to it, and it doesn't really have those critical, like, conflict moments in it that really, like, make you think back on the film and be like, wow, I really enjoyed that part. It's a really simplistic and subtle piece of filmmaking, but in its own right, it's pretty effective for what it was trying to do.
Yeah, I also feel like this movie was a very simple movie, but I like those kind of just like very emotional, simple movies personally, like Lady Bird or Shoplifters. I don't know, this felt like this year's kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of like a Sofia Coppola movie. Not all of her movies are like great, but a lot of them are still good, but I still enjoy. I think I am gonna rewatch this movie for more reasons than one. But yeah, I think I liked it a little bit more than Perry and Carlos here. I mean, I still don't think it's like a masterpiece or perfect or anything, but I definitely think it's worth checking out at least once. And I feel like the strengths of this movie carry it so much for me that I could see myself going back to it anyways.
I'm glad that this film subverted me, because there were certain parts of the film where I'm like, oh my god, please do not fall into this cliche. Because I thought they were going to have the scene where, like, Awkwafina just, like, explodes and announces, you know, the fact that her grandmother has cancer in front of everybody. And the fact that they avoided doing things like that, I feel, is what makes it, you know, superior to films that deal with situations like this, that deal with grief and, you know, like, being related or knowing someone that has cancer,
and also just withholding information from somebody.
Yeah.
Like, there's always that plot device in movies where somebody knows something that someone doesn't, and we're just waiting for that person to find out when they're being lied to, and then all hell breaks loose. This film doesn't really have that, which was kind of upsetting for me a little bit, but also refreshing because, like Perry said, it kind of subverts your expectation in that way. But at the same time, like, I did want some sort of, like, conflict to happen, because I feel like it would have made it more engaging. Yeah. Maybe they could have done it in a more subversive way. Yeah, like, it's, like I said, I think it's mostly a good thing that it didn't go that route. But I don't know, I guess for me, I just wanted maybe a little something to happen, maybe something to pop off, and nothing like that really ever happens.
I feel like Awkwafina's character kind of like carries that conflict for me, because I really enjoyed her character. Like, I know we've seen characters like her before, like, it's kind of reminiscent, but I feel like she still played her character off really well. So she obviously cares about her grandmother and is kind of like pissed off that, you know, she wants her to know this situation she's in. And I don't know, like, her very, like, conflict of, like, her being pissed off at her family and their current situation. Like, I feel like that was enough. Probably could have been explored a little more, but, like, it never felt forced, and it always felt really genuine, which I just appreciated.
I mean, that's a great point. One strength about this film that I didn't really touch on was that pretty much everything in this film feels absolutely genuine and natural.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You feel pretty much all the chemistry and all the character moments that this film gives you. Nothing feels like there's actors saying lines, or nothing feels forced for the sake of emotion. Everything feels like you're not watching a movie and you're just watching somebody's life and this family and what they're going through. And yeah, I'd have to say that the natural feel that this movie gives off was really effective, and it really worked for me.
There was definitely, like, some scenes where it was like I was trying to focus on like exchanges and dialogue, but there was stuff going on in the background that kind of distracted me. This is not like a big issue. This is kind of more of a nitpick. Another, like, nitpick I had with this film is there's, like, a scene in the wedding, and, you know, of course everyone's getting hammered and everything, and I hate when films do this. They, like, spin the camera, like, really fast. I've seen that in so many films. Like, I wish filmmakers would just stop doing that.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I was like, because like that camera choice of like circling it around like faster and faster when people are getting hammered, and like that's been done a lot. Like that's done so many times. But you know, I don't know. Like it didn't. Like I don't think it was a great choice, but it didn't really bother me. Like I was like, okay.
The last film to do it really well, just a random side point, is the movie Krisha, which is the first film directed by the guy who made It Comes at Night.
Trey Edward Schultz, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of times in that movie where the camera like spun around a lot like that, but it was used very effectively. I just wanted to throw that out there. But,
I have to still watch Krisha, man.
It's a short but great movie.
I've got a lot of requests to watch that film, so I should
really
probably watch it.
It's really good. Yeah. But yeah.
Did anybody have any other thoughts? That's it?
The cinematography is fucking great. Probably like my favorite aspect of this film. I was like really surprised. Like, you know, Climax and Midsommar are like my favorites in terms of how well shot it is. But this movie wasn't slouching in that. Like,
yeah, definitely.
It always looked really pretty.
It's a really like, you know, subtle direction and subtle camera work.
I like that though.
Yeah, but it's still like really, you can tell that it was meticulous in a way. Like most of the shots you can tell like had thought in it before shooting it.
I feel like those are my favorite kinds of like cinematography, kind of like a Michael Haneke movie.
Yeah.
Or Mikhail Haneke, so some people want to say.
Some people want to be touchy on that.
But no, yeah, everything felt very purposeful and didn't feel like so distracting. Of like, look how good this is. It just like was very, very pretty but very purposeful.
All right, well, no thoughts. Okay, I guess time to give ratings.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think this is a pretty good film. It's got great performances, pretty solid writing to where a lot of the character exchanges and dialogue felt very genuine. I definitely felt this family's chemistry throughout the whole thing. Everything felt authentic. I also really dug the themes in it that have to do with Western society, kind of clashing with Chinese culture. I thought that was really interesting. When we got 2 or 3 of those dialogue moments with characters talking about those themes, I thought it was really insightful. But like I said, there are some issues with it in terms of it being maybe a little bit too simplistic, maybe not as engaging as I wanted it to be. There was times where my mind was wandering off a bit and I felt a little bored. So that being said, I'm gonna give The Farewell a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, now I guess I'll get to my caveat of my viewing experience. So I'll try and make it really fast. This isn't very professional of me, I know, but I'm not a professional critic, at least not yet, hopefully one day. But I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I don't usually fall asleep at movies like at all. Like I'm very good at staying up when I really want to watch a movie, and I really wanted to like stay up throughout all this, but I was just like, my tiredness hit me like a fucking train today. So it just like, I kept falling asleep during the second act, and I feel like I missed like a good 15 to 25% of this movie. But I still felt like I knew what everything was going on. But from what I never was bored whenever like I fucking stayed up and got everything.
It's funny because after it was all done and Eric said he slept through some of it, he was like, I thought it was a great movie.
Well, I mean, I still feel like I watched the film, but I am gonna go back and rewatch it in its entirety, fully awake. But no, I still think it's really great, and my bad for fucking sleeping through just some of it.
Well, what grade would you give it, knowing that you watched 85% of it?
I would give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's gonna be bumped up really or lowered. I feel like a 7 is probably what I'm gonna feel.
It's funny. I think Eric definitely enjoyed this film more than I did, but I gave it a slightly higher rating. Which is
well, I
weird.
said 7.
Yeah, I said 7.5.
Oh well, for me it's like a mid to strong 7.
Oh, okay. Well,
Personally,
then, same
yeah.
page then, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Our rating systems are just different. I hate to sound like I didn't enjoy this film or I'm the most negative in the car, because I did really enjoy this film for the most part. Like I said, most of the issues I have with it are nitpicks, and I definitely agree with Carlos. It's not as engaging as I wanted it to be. It was surprisingly had some pretty funny scenes, which a lot of people have been talking about. There are definitely some comical scenes in this film.
At least like 2 or 3.
And there are definitely some like characters that you can't help but to laugh at, because like the people getting married in this film, they're just so dorky and awkward.
I feel like it added to their character, but I can still see.
Yeah, but it's not negative. It's just something I noticed.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, it's type of film I just watched once, but I don't really have much of a desire to see it again. I'm also gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh wow.
Nice.
So I guess objectively as we could, we all are in pretty much agreement. But in terms of pure enjoyment, I feel like I enjoyed the movie more.
Yeah.
I think Perry enjoyed it less. I enjoyed it in the middle of all 3 of us, and Eric enjoyed it more.
Yeah. What he saw of it.
Yeah, what he saw of it, which is most of it.
I saw most of it. It's still really good.
But yeah, I guess that's all we got to say about The Farewell, directed by Lulu Wang, starring Awkwafina. So, if you really enjoyed what we had to say about The Farewell, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.